We are back with another episode, and tonight we are hosting Sameer Chalise. He is a master's student at the University of Uppsala in Sweden. In this conversation, we are going to talk about the Swedish Institute Scholarship. This scholarship funds international students to pursue their studies in Sweden. This is what you should expect in this conversation. 1. Where are you going to find this scholarship? Also, you should expect to understand what document you need to submit and at what point, how the application process goes, the amount of funding that is offered, and life of an international student in Sweden. So, welcome to this conversation, Chalise.
Thank you. Great to be here. Thank you, Omae.
I'm curious to know, who are you?
Okay, so my name is Sameer, and I'm Sameer Chalise, and I'm from Nepal. And currently, I'm doing my master's in sustainable destination development here in Uppsala University in Sweden. And besides, I also have a travel company.
You have been awarded a lot of scholarships, right?
Exactly. I have been awarded the Swedish Institute Scholarship for Global Professionals. It's a scholarship that I am currently in. So yeah, exactly.
So, where did you learn about this scholarship?
Okay. I think I need to go back in time after my graduation of bachelor's. I completed my bachelor's in 2019, and after 2019, there was this pandemic, as we all know, and I never thought about coming to Sweden and doing my master's here, but after the pandemic, everything changed, and I felt like coming abroad, and I was interested in this sustainability, and I had my background in travel and tourism management, so I had a very general understanding about this. These Scandinavian countries are very good at sustainability things. So then I did little bit of research about the programs, and it's everything is in the university's website. So yeah, that's where I found that thing.
So, in short, you're saying this is publicly available information. If you go search Swedish Institute Scholarships, you can find it anywhere on the web.
Yeah, exactly. There are these individual scholarships also provided by the universities themselves. And for any external funding requirement, you can also visit this link.
Yeah, sure. This is one of the most popular scholarships in Sweden. I agree with
Exactly.
you on that one. Now, somebody would be curious. What does this scholarship mean? So, when I say Swedish Institute Scholarship, right? What do I mean?
Like the Swedish Institute is a public agency, so they provide scholarships to these developing countries every year. They have certain countries they select from these developing nations. And this year, I think they have 33 nations, and they kind of want the applicants who have this sustainability focus inside them, who are working in sustainability background. So they want them to be here. They provide the funding and everything, and so that they can go back to their countries and apply all the networks, all the relationships they have, and kind of help their countries to develop. I think this is something this scholarship is thinking about, or their mission is about. So like for me, they would be happy if I go back to Nepal and work in something that helps to develop my country. So it's amazing. This is amazing, like this country is doing so much of a thing, like for the students like me in this kind of things, and so that I can do something back to my country. It's amazing, right? So
You said 33 emerging markets or developing countries, right?
exactly. It's basically provided to these developing countries.
What other criteria do I need to meet? Now, assuming I am from one of these developing countries, what other criteria do I need to meet so that I can be accepted into this program?
So the thing is that this is provided to the students who are willing to do masters. So for studying masters, of course, you need all the things from bachelors. So it's a separate application, but you need to be qualified to study masters. So that is something. The first thing I would say, and the second thing is that they publish the list of the countries in their website. So you should be out of any of those countries, you should belong to one of those countries. And the third thing I would say is that you should be liable to pay the tuition fees For example, these European Union students, they do not need to pay for their tuition fees in Sweden, but if you are from outside European Union, then you are liable to pay tuition fees. So that is also something that they consider. And the final thing I would say is that they require some work experiences and also the leadership experiences that you should have. I mean, that's a must-have thing to get the scholarship. So I think this is pretty much of this qualification of the requirements to achieve this scholarship. So that, yeah.
You graduated with your bachelor's in 2019.
Exactly. Yeah. I
Did you
finished.
Did you work after that?
Yeah, I mean, I was already working during my bachelor's and also after the bachelor's before coming here. It's a lot of things going on.
So how many years experience do I need so that I can be accepted into this program?
There is like a different country list for those things also. Like some of the countries, they do not need to provide. They only need to show that they're working or some kind of work experience, but the exact number of hours is not defined. But for me, or for other countries that they list on the website, so everything is mentioned on the website. So I had to submit the minimum of 3,000 work experiences. So, and these work experiences should be not more than from 3 organizations. So this is like the minimum requirement.
I think that makes sense because some scholarships have that criteria because they want you coming in with an understanding of what you want to improve, right?
Exactly.
Probably that's why the experience aspect comes in.
Exactly. And besides the work experience, it is also important. I mean, it's a must thing that you have some kind of leadership experience in the work that you are doing. I mean, it's not, they do not have any exact number of hours or a defined number of hours, but some positions from the leadership is very, very valuable.
Yeah. Now, along that line, for me to be a leader, probably I may have worked for some time. So if I may have worked for some time, I'm not saying that young people cannot be leaders, but I'm saying probably I've hit maybe at least 30 years. Maybe I'm 32 years old. Do you think my age is going to be an issue for this scholarship?
No,
Allow me to interrupt this conversation and bring something to your attention. Since we launched this podcast a few months ago, we've had over 50,000 people watching our episodes, which we are very thankful for, and over 12,000 hours. However, we are currently trying to build our audience so that we can get the leverage to invite more guests to our podcast and we can continue bringing more insights. As you can see in one of these sites, and I bet that's here, at least 80.7% of the people watching our podcasts are not subscribers to this channel. And what we are currently focusing on is building our audience. So I'm requesting that if you may like to support us, if you like what we are sharing, you support our channel by clicking that subscribe button so that we can grow. Our promise is to continue bringing you strong guests with more insights so that we can bring these conversations where you are, the scholarship.
No, I mean, they do not have any issue for your like age. Everybody can apply.
Now take me through the application process. The first thing, you went online, you searched the Swedish Institute Scholarship, right?
Exactly.
Then it popped up. You clicked the link. Then what?
I mean, then I looked into the templates they have. Every November, I think, very beginning of November, they publish their templates for different documents that you are supposed to submit during the application period. So there are different sets of templates. So for example, the work experience templates, the leadership experience template, the reference letters, and the CV. So those are the 4 things that you have to download from their website. And once you download, then you fill everything. For example, like the work experiences has something about the personal information, and there should be a referee who is going to kind of say that you were actually working in the organization. So there is information about the referee, then how long you have been working, how many hours from which date to which date, and some specific task that you fulfill during that time. So that basically is in the work experience. And the leadership experience is also quite same, exactly like this. The things is quite similar. But there's the only difference I would say is that the work experience has work specific task and the leadership experience has leadership specific task. It's also written in the template that the referee's email should be the work email and nothing like gmail.com or something. So it should be from the organization so that it's genuine. And these are two different things. And the third thing is the reference letter. So these reference letters are, the first one is compulsory, that the first reference letter is from the employment that you are having. So it's the most thing. And the second reference letter can be from education, can be from employment, but it is also mentioned that the priority is given to something from the civil society organizations, so that's some NGOs or INGOs that you are working in. So that is prioritized. And there are a couple of questions in the reference letters. For example, do you think if the applicant is valuable, if he is the proper person to get the scholarships? And those questions needs to be filled out by your referee. So you cannot do that alone. So maybe you can do all these grammatical things that your referee has made some mistakes in grammar or some phrases, but this is everything that you do with a referee. So the referee is responsible for all these things. And the final thing is the CV. So CV again has your personal information, work experiences, and trainings, and also your involvement in the civil society organizations. And if you already had some previous scholarships that you had in your life. This is basically something that needs to be downloaded from the website once they publish those documents in the website. And one thing, the final thing I would say is a motivation letter. The motivation letter, you don't download anything, but during the application period, there is a question. So you kind of write your motivation. So it's a pretty short one. And I think this motivation letter varies year by year. It was 1,000 characters including space, so around 5-6 lines, so nothing more than that. And you have a couple of days to submit your application, and you write the motivation letter during the application period. So yeah, this is pretty much of everything that you need to do to kind of apply for this scholarship.
So when we speak about motivation letters, people sometimes get confused.
Exactly.
Because they don't know what to write in motivation letters. You are a scholar, so you wrote one motivation letter. Is it possible for you at least to try and remember what went into your motivation letter? For example, just in a brief highlight, so that we can know what needs to go into this motivation letter.
Yeah, I think I remember my motivation letter quite. The question that was asked in the motivation letter was the question kind of mean that in what way your experiences or your involvement in the civil society organizations, which sustainable development goals does it relate to? So that was the question. The sense of the question was that all the experience that I had. So which sustainable development goals does it kind of contributes to? So that was the question, and it's 1,000 characters, I said already. So including the space, just 1,000 characters. You imagine that you had all these 6-7 years of experiences. Somebody might have 10-15 years of experiences, and you write everything within just 5-6 sentences. And I think the best thing is to go straight into your thing. So just say directly, don't go into the background or something. So don't write anything into the background, just go straight into the topic and make the sentences pretty clear, one after another. Just make it coherence with one after another. and finally kind of give a concluding sentence like, okay, so due to these things, my experience contributes to this one. So that was the question I had, but I mean the questions can be different every year.
There are 17 SDGs in as defined by the United Nations, right?
Yeah,
17 Sustainable Development Goals.
exactly.
Is there any that the Swedish Institute Scholarship focuses on, or you can choose any that aligns with your interests?
I mean, the thing is that there is this 2030 agenda. So, I mean, whatever the sustainable goals your work and whatever experience that you have in the past, if it contributes to one or another, I think it's fine. So, I don't think there is any particular thing that they focus on. So somebody can be focusing on in some social aspects, somebody's can have in the environmental aspects, somebody's can be on the economic aspects. But one way or another, if you can say that, okay, so this is how I can contribute, I contributed to the sustainable development goals, then I think it's okay. So because I never saw that this is something that we focus on.
Oh, that makes sense. To the applicant, these are common things you need to know if you are applying for a scholarship. Something like the SDGs, you need to know at least. Just go online, check the UN Sustainable Development Goals. If you've never heard of it, then think carefully where your work lies. They are 17. So you are going to select at least one of them. And then, as you've heard, it's just a very, very, very short statement you need to write. So you need to be very specific with your work.
Exactly.
But then it gets me to ask you now, did you ever attend any interviews?
I mean, yeah, I mean, this is something that I frequently get questioned about. So I never had interviews for these scholarships, but the thing is that since you mentioned your referees information in all those documents, there is very like a high probability that the scholarship committee will talk to your referees. So and ask if everything that the information that is submitted is genuine or not. So that is something that happens. I mean, that might happen. I mean, it does not happen for everybody, but it's just, I think, randomly selected among the applicants. But not the interviews, not like any interviews. I never had those things. I mean,
So what time did you submit your application?
yeah, well, so there is it's a separate application from the university, so it's a different one. So in November they publish all these things, and from November you have got almost like December, January. So January around 40 days to kind of fill all these things to prepare all these documents and in from February 10 to 28, you have the application period. So that is when you submit all the things. So you can go back and out. I mean, anytime when you like, and everything is saved. And within that couple of weeks, you submit everything. So that is, and before that, once the templates are published on the websites, you got around, I think, 40 days of time to prepare all the things, to go to the referees, to make everything signed. And then you submit within 18 days to 28 would be 18 days. And that is also when you write the motivation letter. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty much... And the next thing is that you apply to the master's program from a different portal. In Sweden, they have one university admission. So in October, the application round opens, and then in October 15, then November 1, the scholarship thing happens. So it happens simultaneously, and the school result for the master's come first, and then your application for scholarships are reviewed, and then finally the result for the scholarships comes out. So it's a side by side thing, but it's two different portals, and you submit work differently separately for these two things.
You just mentioned a very important aspect, that the masters and the scholarship are two different applications, and I just had to repeat that part so that the listeners and applicants can get to understand this very clearly. I usually get follow-up questions a lot. when we have this kind of a conversation, like which comes first or what should I do? So if you missed that part, please stop here. Go back 2 minutes and listen again. It is very, very important. Now, this is you. You have identified the master's program you want to do, right? But again, you have to make your application to one central body in Sweden. Is this information also available on the university website?
Yeah, I mean, when you apply to Sweden, then you have only one portal that you apply for master's and bachelor's programs from that portal. So you can apply to any university from that portal. So it's called university admissions. So that's where you do everything about these academic things. So exactly like just one portal. It's pretty easy, I would say.
Could you furnish me with what you needed to submit for the master's application process?
Yeah, I mean, for the master's, everything from the bachelor's, like your certificates, diplomas, transcript, whatever you have, all those academic documents from the bachelor's that is supposed to be submitted. And for me, I also had to submit English proficiency test. So you can do either IELTS or TOEFL. And I think those were the two things that were allowed at that time. But I don't know if there are more things these days. But the English proficiency test, and also since my program also wanted me to write a motivation letter. So I mean, it depends according to the program. Some program might want you to write a reference letter, or some might ask you to write a motivation letter, or some programs also can ask you to submit a CV. It actually depends on the program you choose, but the bachelor documents and the English proficiency test is must. And besides, the CV, motivation letter, reference letters, these are the specific requirements based on the programs that you are applying to. So yeah, and you submit them through the portal, and you have to pay the tuition fee. So like the application fee, and then they review your documents, and they kind of.
So you are paying application fee in euros, right?
In the kroner, it's a kroner here. So it was 900 kroner. So 900 kroner is around, I think, almost around $90, $90.
Okay. So if I submit my application, I need to pay 90 USD. Or thereabouts. Of course, these rates usually fluctuate.
Exactly. I mean, that's something that everybody needs to do, even though you are a Swedish scholarship scholars. You are supposed to pay the application fee, and the thing is that you can apply to 4 different programs at one time. So it's not just one university, like one program from one university. You can apply to any university, any program, like the maximum of 4, and that's kind of ranked from 1 to 4th. So I mean, let me say that very clearly, like, so that it's like, for example, so you can apply to 4 different programs from any of the universities in Sweden. So the four programs can be from the same university, can be from different universities. And then you rank them into your kind of preferences. So the first one would be the one that you are very much interested to study, and the fourth one would be the least preferenced. So, and if you cannot get into the first one, then they kind of look if you are qualified for the second one, and then the third one. So this is how it works. And there are, so the same application fee, with the same application fee, you can apply to 4 different programs. So I think it's fair, I think, looking into different countries.
Yeah, so like one application fee, 4 programs, and you are more or less, if you checked the entry criteria, of course you are going to find or get admission to at least one of them.
Exactly.
So the Swedish Institute Scholarship allows me to apply to any of these universities. Are there specific universities that I should not apply to?
I mean, yeah, I mean, that thing, like, for example, like they published the thing about the countries this year, these countries can apply. So there are around 700 to 800 different programs that you can apply to. I think that pretty much covers everything the university in Sweden provides. There are these 700 to 800 like master's program. So I think if somebody is willing to study masters, I think I would say like it just falls into one of them. But if you are applying for, so let's say like some diplomas or something, maybe it's better to check into those program list if it's available, if it's kind of given priority by the Swedish Institute Scholarship. So yeah, I think I don't say like any program, but I would say almost everything. Like 800 master's program means it covers everything, I would say.
All right. That is informative, and thank you. Now, you've done all this work. You've submitted your application to the university. You've submitted your application for the scholarship, right? When I get admission to the university, is it guaranteed that I will be offered the scholarship?
Not really. I mean, you also need to be accepted for the program from the university, and you also need to be accepted for the scholarships. So it's two different things. So for both of them, you have to be accepted. So because sometimes like there are applicants who kind of get the scholarship but are not accepted into the master's program. So it can happen. So the thing is that to get the scholarships and to get the master's program, you need to be accepted into both of them.
Okay. So there's a possibility you can get one and fail to get the other one.
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
How long do I have to wait to know if I've gotten all this? Like, how long did you wait before you got the final confirmation?
So once from February, the end of February, there is like a whole March. So and in April, the scholarship, like the announcement of those applicants who achieved the scholarship, it's almost around like 40 to 50 days, I would say. So within that, you kind of know if you have been accepted or not. And before that, you know if you have been accepted for the master's program. So it's a separate thing. So the master's results come weekly than the scholarship result.
You run a company, and you just furnished me with some information that you deal in travel, right? So
Yeah.
what is Green Getaways as the company you are running?
Okay, so the Green Getaways was founded in 2021, and it's a travel company that is based in Nepal, and we offer anything like all sorts of tourism activities in Nepal except mountaineering. And that is something that I founded myself. I had lots of experiences into different tourism organizations. I'm the registered trekking guide, cultural guide. I worked for different travel companies. I did my internship in Nepal Tourism Board, and I've kind of felt that, okay, so this is something the industry is lacking in. So maybe if I kind of open something and work into something that these new trends in tourism are arising, and nobody is kind of aware about these things. So that is something like a motivation how I open my company also.
So when you look at me, how do you know that I am a person who can benefit from the services you're offering? What kind of a person are you looking for?
I mean, we like it's a travel company, so any traveler can come through our company to experience certain things. But what I would like to highlight is that we kind of give focus to this sustainability mode of travel. We do not put you into the, let's say, if you are coming, then we do not, your accommodation would be into some local hotels rather than those big chain hotels. Everything would be provided to you by the local people. And we also try to kind of conserve the environment, make as less as possible carbon emissions using this public transportation, and like the hiking if it's a possibility. So it's and you, if you go into some villages, then you can stay at the homestays, get the local experiences, authentic real experiences. That's, I think, how we are different among other travel companies.
Is it only available in Nepal?
Yeah, it's for now it's only for Nepal.
Okay. In case you're watching this and you may want to travel there, and hopefully, actually, I will consider coming for my holidays, one of these fine days to Nepali, then you may want to check the description of this video. We have links to this company and all the necessary information you can get so that you can proceed with your arrangements and booking. Now, we are back to you as a scholar.
Yeah.
you have been awarded the Swedish Institute Scholarship. You're going to Sweden to do your master's in more or less an industry that you've actually invested in, right? So you are carrying this scholarship offer, and I don't know what it contains. So what does this scholarship offer contain?
Yeah.
What financial support do you get?
It's the tuition fee is completely paid, and they provide this monthly allowance, and that pretty much covers everything for your living expenses. So if you can manage properly, it's it's a lot of. There remains a surplus into it, and they also provide one-time travel grant, which was 15,000 for us, but there are some countries who get 10,000 crowns, and sometimes if they call you for some kind of events or some kind of networking things, then they also provide the travel grants that is necessary to travel there and come back here. So yeah, so it's fully funded, I would say.
Do you live in university or out of university accommodation?
It's last year I stayed with the university's accommodation. I contacted the housing office from the university, and they helped me to find my accommodation. But this year I kind of switched to some private landlordship.
So the university can help you arrange your accommodation prior to your arrival?
Yeah, then they can help you.
Do you sign a contract? Are you bounded, like you must stay here for some period of time?
Yeah, you are supposed to sign a contract, and once you sign the contract, then you kind of have to stay until the end of the contract. So you can leave, of course, but you need to pay the money. So
it is either you choose to pay up for the remaining period and leave, or stay.
Yeah.
You see, this aspect of accommodation, it's an important thing for people who are, you are moving across borders. You need to know exactly where you're going to stay, because you can just go and stopping people, I want to stay here and such. Now, when we talk about accommodation, we know money is going in there.
Exactly.
I may not have to ask you about the specifics of the amount of funding that is provided, but guys, you can go out there and check. This is publicly available information, but we can do it in another version. What proportion of your stipend, or the support grant, as you call it, goes into your accommodation? And sorry for that, there's always a statement I add after this. Assuming you are living in an average accommodation, so not the most expensive, not the cheapest, so that people can know if they're moving up beyond this or below this.
I think from the allowances that I get, I would say around 40% of the allowances, around 40% I think goes into the accommodation, and you have remaining 60% for food and everything, whatever you do.
So does this accommodation include all the bills associated with where I stay? Electricity, gas, water, and such kind of a thing?
Yeah, it includes the water, it includes electricity, the internet. I think 40% is enough to cover these bills also.
Now, I have my 60%, and I want to budget this money so that I don't run out of cash. So for this 60%, is there a relative, we call it a comparative price, so that we can know if I'm in the UK, I'm buying coffee for £3, right? If I'm in the US, I'm buying coffee for around $450 at Starbucks.
Okay, yeah, I think I understand your questions. Maybe I cannot say about the coffee, but I would say something about the milk, I think. So for 1 liter of milk, you might need to spend around $2, I would say. And for 10 pieces of eggs, you might need to spend around $3, I would say.
That is enough information for somebody who is coming for a master's to know what they can do with that information. So I think that is enough. But guys, there's another alternative. You can go and check for stores in your nearest the university. So he studies at Uppsala. You can always go online and check for stores around there. I don't know if that is possible. And then you can build your basket and know, like, per month I'm going to spend ABCD.
Yeah, it's possible. You just need to download the apps of these grocery stores, then it's possible. Yeah.
So there's something called transport. Some countries, I'll give you an example, like Hungary, you pay a certain amount. As long as you're a student, then you can travel anywhere Okay, not anywhere, but in most places. How does transportation work there?
Yeah, I mean, for the transportation also, they have different apps according to the places that you are in. And so if you kind of buy, let's say, a ticket, so the ticket can valid up to 1 hour, it can valid up to 24 hours, it can be for 3 days, 7 days, a month. So if you buy those kind of package tickets, then you can travel in the trams or the commuter trains, or those buses that moves around the city. So you can use any forms of transportation with the same ticket that valids within the time limit. So it has a time limit, and you pay certain money, and it works. It works for every transportation in the city.
You needed a visa to study in Sweden.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, coming from Nepal, I needed one.
So how was the application process? Was it paid for by the university, or did you pay for it?
For the visa fee, the scholarship, since I got the Swedish Institute scholarships, I didn't have to pay the visa application fee, because that is also something that these scholarship holders are kind of privileged to. But yeah, once you kind of get the offer you sign the offer for the scholarship, you send the offer to the Swedish Institute committee, and then after that you apply for a visa, and it's applied through an agency. It's called the migration agency, and you apply everything from the migration agency. There's lots of steps that you need to fill into, and you then submit your application. And then after, let's say, around, it depends on the case, it depends on the documents, everything. But if everything is perfectly done, if you submitted everything correctly, for my case, it was after 1 month I received an email from the migration agency saying that your case has been settled. Now you need to go to the embassy to give your fingerprints and passports. The photographs. So, but it depends. I mean, the days can depend based on the case.
Did you have to attend any visa interview?
No, I didn't do that. I mean, I went from Nepal. There is no Swedish embassy in Nepal. I had to go to India. And but I remember I don't have to go through any interview processes.
So how long did it take for you to get your visa?
So once, I think in 1 month, the decision was finalized by the migration agency, and then I went to give the fingerprints, and then after I gave fingerprints, I think it took another 1 month for my visa or the residence permit to arrive to Nepal, because it was something. Since I had to, after it came to the embassy in India, then it also needs to come to Nepal to the consulate. So it was something, if you don't have an embassy in your country, then that's a little longer. I think around 1 week, 10 days. It might be a little longer than having an embassy in your one country. So yeah.
So you have your visa.
Yeah.
It means now you are allowed to travel to Sweden.
Exactly.
You packed your bags because you already have funding.
Yeah.
And there you go. You are in Sweden. So could you please tell me about this first day experience in Sweden? What happened? Where did you land in the first instance?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very emotional living home. I mean, it's always emotional getting away from your family. But once I landed in the capital in Stockholm, then I had a next flight to make. It was a 40 minutes flight. So it was everything arranged from Nepal. So from Nepal, it was to Qatar, to Stockholm, and to the place I live here. And I had a couple of maybe 1-2 hours transit in Stockholm. And then I took another flight. And then since I came, there was these arrival days where you are kind of you meet somebody from the university comes to pick you up at the airport. So since I came on the arrival days, because it was first time, and I think it's important that you don't know anything. So there were few people from the university to pick me up in the airport, and so I put my luggage into the car, and they dropped me directly into my accommodation. And then I kind of unpacked everything from the luggage. The first thing I think I did was I called my family. I arrived safely. And then after that, I checked into the apartment, everything. Okay, this is this, and turned on the Wi-Fi. And later on, I think I went to the store to buy some foods. And then on the very first day, I cooked my first meal, and that I think that is pretty much of everything that happened on the first day.
See, I think I'm already loving this scholarship because this is one of the best scholarship experiences I've ever had on the first day. This is the reason. This arrangement where they come to pick you from the airport, it's very, very beneficial because imagine you are going to a new country, you don't know anything.
Yeah,
You don't know anyone. Sometimes, this is one thing people fail to think about beforehand. Sometimes you may arrive there and realize you cannot even access the internet. Not all countries work in the same way, right?
exactly.
So it can be a disaster. And I think this is where now I say they have a very good plan and initiative to get you guys on track so that you don't struggle. Now,
Yeah.
after you've taken your meal, of course you went to rest, and the next day you were out there. You
Yeah.
must have experienced some culture shocks.
Definitely. I mean, lots of those things happen. I mean, coming from Nepal, you can imagine like it's a very developed country. Nepal is a very poor country, and the culture and everything. So it was exactly opposite. Like whatever works in Nepal, nothing works here, and so the food is different. The people are different. So you only have to talk in English all the time, and lots of things. And since I'm the only one from my country representing my country in this whole place, I didn't have anybody from my home country, so everybody I meet would be from another. So from the very first day, I mean, I would say like for a month it was quite challenging making new friends, adapting to this new environment, getting used to eating Swedish or these foods. And but later on I managed. I mean, now I'm happy, like it's getting well.
See, as adults, what we usually experience more as a challenge when we go to a new environment is that we don't come along with the people we know. Yeah, I mean, like you are going to start fresh.
Yeah.
And the way people relate is different. Now, if you are a person who sometimes finds it difficult to create relationships with people, you may end up lonely, you may end up depressed.
Exactly.
Is there an arrangement or is there a way that somebody can get support, emotional support, physical support, mental support, in case they end up in such kind of a situation where
Yeah, I
you
mean,
are having
definitely,
issues?
exactly. I mean, it's very important. I mean, the university here are, I think, quite advanced in those things. They really value your work-life balances. So you can contact to someone from the university. They provide different trainings time and again for the new students, and also they have these student unions. So they have these unions where. And it was after like maybe like few weeks I joined the union, and it's all so many students, everybody starting in the same campus. Then they have different activities, game nights. You can play football, you can go for gyms, you can have some parties with the friends, and then I kind of get used to like having friends, so many things. So they have unions and some support from the university to help you emotionally, I would say.
So, does the Swedish Institute Scholars, okay, the scholarship program itself, organize events for scholars? Do you guys get to meet somewhere, maybe in Stockholm, and get to know each other?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. So the first one they organized was they do that time and again, and the first one was like the welcome event. So everybody who were accepted on that year, they were welcomed, and it was 2 days event. Everybody from different countries. I also met so many people from Kenya, and it was I mean, amazing experience. And after that, they also call for some kind of these different events. So they organize on this leadership capability. It is, of course, you need to submit your documents, like some application, because they only select couple of scholarship holders that they had. I mean, but still, you can go apply for that, and you can. They do that. I mean, they do that time and again.
So you are going to be in Sweden for, is it 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
So if you're there, sometimes you may want to do things. Maybe I want to make some money on the side as I study. Does your visa allow you to work as you study?
Yeah, I mean, it allows. I have not worked after I came here, but it allows, because the only thing you have to be mindful of is that your studies are not hampered, because the Swedish Institute, they kind of do this evaluation into your studies also. So in every semester, it's 30 credits. So out of 30, I think you need to at least have 22.5. So if you can meet that requirement, then your scholarship will remain, and you can work. There is no any you cannot work or something. So you can.
So how many hours have you got to work?
You can work as long as you want. I mean, there is no, like in different countries, they have this 20 hours or something kind of policies. But it's not like that here. You can work as much as you want without hampering your studies.
Perfect. Now,
Yeah.
I also think there is a provision about what happens after your master's. What is this thing that happens after your master's?
I mean, after master's, we can extend our visa for 1 more year. For this, they call it a job-seeking visa. So if you are interested in working in Sweden or apply for work elsewhere, then you still get 1 more year for that time. And after that, if you cannot find a job, or then you might have to return to your country.
That says a lot. You see, somebody who has been listening to you for the past, 1 hour, close to 1 hour.
Yeah.
They have traveled all the way from beginning to make an application. They have become scholars. They have been with you during your first day as you cook your very nice meal in a foreign country. To this point, where now they have finished their studies, they can either choose to extend or stay, right?
Yeah.
But again, this same person may want to see you in real life. They may want to follow you on socials, see what you do as a scholar, the things you talk about, and your experiences. So how can this person find you on socials?
I mean, they can contact me from my email address, which I can provide, I think. And they can contact me through LinkedIn. So that would be the 2 things I would say. That's the perfect medium for me, for them to communicate with me.
Okay, so the information just mentioned, his email address and his LinkedIn profile, will be available at the description of this video. Also, guys, remember, he runs a company. Just check the description of this video and you'll get more information about his company and the kind of things he's doing. Now, for this person who is about to check you in the description, you may have something to tell them.
Yeah.
That is?
So, like, if you are applying for the Swedish Institute Scholarship, I mean, go for it. And I kind of researched about this scholarship and all the programs that I was interested in for, I would say, almost a year, and then I only applied. So do lots of research, go into the websites, everything is available on their website. Look into every details that is available, and you contact on the given email address if you still find any confusions. And this is amazing opportunity, amazing scholarship. So you can have these like alumni networks. You can be part of the alumni networks. You can still have some local networks while you are studying here. So this is amazing, and go for it. And I would say best wishes for the potential and the future scholars.
Thank you for accepting to join this conversation, and that has been very insightful, and we wish you all the best in your studies as you You're almost finishing your studies, right?
Yeah, I mean, in 6 months, yeah.
Yeah, so in 6 months, we will be here to celebrate you. Guys, look out for his celebration. We will actually feature him on the Management Diary page during his graduation. So you may want to look out for that.
Thank you. I mean, thank you. It's a wonderful opportunity being here. Thanks, Omae. And I think whatever I said has been helpful to people in one way or another. And if you kind of have some questions or if some confusions, then you can still contact me on the given contact details, and I would be happy to help you.
So that was Sameer Chalise, and this is the Management Diary. Your host today was Omae Joseph, and until we meet again in the next episode, bye bye.